Legends, here we are, the final part of the Discovering You module. So this is a nice little mindset check-in, really looking at any limiting beliefs I've really commonly seen with people in the early stages of their career. So we're going through a top 5 things you should stop doing and then start doing. All right. So I'm just going to bring the presentation up so we can run through things together. All right, here we are. Top 5 things to stop and start now. Now, of course, with any kind of, I guess, limiting belief reset, you first have to acknowledge that there is a problem that needs to be changed. So some of this may be a real thing for you, some may not, but these are the most common things I see. I would really encourage you at the end of this to take some time, again, like we've been doing through this whole process, write it down where you think you could improve. Where do you need to stop? Where do you need to start? What action steps can we take? Is this something that needs to be updated in your 90-day plan? And then let everybody in the group know. The most important thing for your development is to have people on this journey with you. The more that you can get accountability to, give, the more you're going to get. So again, if there's things in this that are really triggering or challenging, I really encourage you to, chat to us about it because we'll be able to drive through. I know some of these things were massive for me when I first graduated. And then on top of that, if there's things that you think aren't in here but should be, drop that in the group as well. What other beliefs do you think that people get caught in that they need support early on? Because again, I don't claim to be the oracle that knows everything here. I'm giving you the most common ones I've seen, but there's others there. Let's all deal with them together. But without further ado, let's get to it. So number one, it's a big one. Oh, there we go. Stop being afraid of money. For most students and new grads, we've been poor for a long time, and money can become a real hang up. When you've not had any, you can be in quite a closed-minded state. And a closed-minded state is an area that not only do you not grow in, but you can create a lot of animosity to other people that are perhaps doing better than you. And it really disserves you so much. One of the most common things I see when people first graduate is this proverbial shitting on other forms of chiropractic or even healthcare, right? Oh, there's chiros that are doing these like Reiki techniques or these emotional techniques. They're all this and they're all that. Or, my patient went to get Bowen. I think that's bullshit. And this is a really closed-minded idea. And universally, anyone that goes through this, if they make the changes in their mindset and are doing better in their career and start to have money in the bank, you see this whole ideology shift. Because one of the things you realize very quickly is that pain is a incredibly like wild concept and has so many facets, right? I mean, at its core, pain is an emotion, right? It's an emotional response. It's why we used to make the joke where people were like, well, I just treat pain. I was like, I didn't realize you're a psychologist. But apart from that, it is so multifactorial that sometimes people need this energy healing here or this there. And realistically, with these different modalities that you and some people do have problems with, is they're so low risk. Like the only real risk is to the person's wallet. And so if people are going there and getting perceived benefit, who are we to say otherwise? And it's just closed-minded to have these issues, and it usually stems from a lack of abundance. There is also the absolute mind melt that is the fact that you probably couldn't afford to see yourself when you first graduate. If you've got someone come in, you need to see them twice a week for say 4 to 6 weeks, then weekly. A lot of times as a new grad, you couldn't afford to do that. And I can tell you that was something that I had to sit in a lot with when I first graduated. I used to have my little old uni Camry. I used to park it around the corner so none of the patients would see me getting in and out of my car because I felt lesser because of my assets and things like that. But what we always need to do is think about where we're going to be. We've gone through your 9-day plan. We've gone through your goal setting. In 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, you're not going to be in this position. And so you need to start thinking from day one about the value of your time, about the value you can give, because this will reset everything for you. So how do we do this? We start with the simplest things, right? You've spent 5 years already living like a student. One more year when you first start is going to do you wonders for setting up your career. The biggest mistake you can make is when you start making some money and start spending and upgrading your lifestyle at the same rate. is a situation that's destined to have a bad time. You do not want to be the FIFO worker with 3 jet skis and a mortgage that suddenly the job drops out and you can't even pick up a job at Macca's, right? So, what do we need to do? First, we need to start learning how to budget. Sounds super simple. I highly recommend the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz on this. It is American, so there's a little bit of adaptation that has to be done, but he talks about breaking your income down into 5 buckets, right? And I did this when I opened my business, which allowed me to set things up for success. Those buckets are income, so it's all the money that comes in. So if you're an associate and you're on a facilities lease, you would want to do this. As an employee, you don't necessarily need to, but again, it's a good ideology. We have income, we have tax, so the money that goes to tax, profit, owner wage, and then business expenses. And so all money comes into your income, and then you work on certain percentages and you deviate that money into each of those accounts. So as an example, you might be, 45, 50% from initially goes into business expenses. I can tell you as a business owner, it's not uncommon for 50+% of the income to go straight into the business expenses before you see a dime. You then have a percentage on tax. It's usually about a third of whatever goes into business expenses, so 15 to 20%. But let me tell you, it can come catch you pretty quickly, especially with HECS debts. I've gone through a stage in my career where we had almost 40% going into tax. So it's also a really important one because so many new graduates don't put tax aside because you get this lump sum usually in your associateships and you have to do your own tax and super and you're like, I'm just not going to. If you spend money that's owed to the taxman, you're stealing, and the government will come and find you. So don't do that. It'll make your life so much better. And keep that money aside. At the end of the year, when you pay your tax out, if there's money left over, that's a bonus for you, right? We then have our owner wage, right? So a certain percentage we're going to set to ourselves. It's often only going to be 15, 20%, depending on those other figures and where you're at in your career, especially if you're opening your own thing. And finally, profit. If you're a true business owner, you should take profit from your business. It might start at 1%, 2%. And so what you do is that pulls in there, and then every quarter you take a 50% draw as a bonus, right? We see a lot of business owners in chiropractic talk about how they're an entrepreneur, but they don't have anyone working from them. You just have a job that you are the boss and the employee at the same time, right? If you truly want to set up a life eventually where you can be an entrepreneur, a business owner, but also a clinician, you can have people working for you, you need to be getting a bonus and almost a derivative from your business. So this is a really beautiful little setup to start working forward, right? So that's budgeting. We then need to work on valuing our services, which will obviously come from the more results we get with people, right? So the more, as we work through certainty before we drive through that, the more results you get, the more people you see, the more you can value your service. But you can still leverage off the rest of us. This industry has survived for a very long time because it delivers amazing results, in spite of some huge odds and at times, forces trying to shut us down. So you have to know that you can get amazing results and you need to start valuing them. I guarantee you, the people you discount care for or give free care to were the people who will do the least amount of work and the ones that are most likely to not get the results. Invest. Invest in you. Invest in your practice. Invest. If you don't know about that, we can run modules on it, but as simple as getting a little raise account or something like that, right? The more you make money work for you, the more your career is fun, the less you have to stress, and the better things are. It's a simple fact that, as a chiropractor, we are never going to be rich from doing chiropractic. You can be absolutely comfortably middle class, which is a fantastic, thing. You can also have amazing work-life balance, but if you want to be making billions, you are in the wrong industry. So make sure you're setting the right intentions through. But if you want money to work for you, you need to invest on the outside. At the end of the day, money is simply a tool and it needs to be used as such. We often have certain ideologies around money from growing up. Some people have it as something that provides them safety. Some look at it as something that provides them opportunity. Understanding what your philosophy is and especially, if you're married or have a long-term partner, what their philosophy is too, because that's a really important part of success. The more you can understand that, more you can work towards using it as a tool just to keep moving you forward and allowing you to do and create more things, the better this career is going to be and the more fun you're going to have. So stop being afraid of money. Number two, that was a big one, first one, right? Thinking you don't know enough. You're just at this stage, either late in your uni career or you're now a practitioner. If you don't think you know enough, look back at what you've been doing. We are a 5-year degree, full time, high contact hours, sciences, research, techniques, pharmacology, immunology. Think of all the things you learned. On top of that, think of the most important skill you got, which is critical thinking, then our ability to look at different things and determine their value, worth, and how things move forward. If anything, you have what we call now the curse of knowledge, where you know too much, and that's what gets in front of you here. You have gotten this far because you're intelligent, good with people, and you know what to do. We are very common, and we'll repeat this along this pathway in this 5. In Australia, particularly, we love a tall poppy syndrome, right? We're afraid to stand out. We like to cut each other down. It is often not that you don't know enough, it's you're afraid of being seen to know, which is a real simple reworking, but it's a really important one. You know enough. If there are gaps or there's areas you want to know more about, you have all the opportunities in the world to continue to further that, and you will never stop. That's why you're here. But if you're feeling at a loss, every patient will help you grow. Every person you see is more information, more certainty, more tools in the tool bank to know that you know what you're doing and you're delivering great results. Leverage this community, leverage your community, leverage the people around you. They're going to reiterate what I'm saying. And if you're uncertain, it is okay to tell someone, I'm not sure. I don't know. But it should be followed up with, I'm going to send you to X to find out, or I'm going to do some research tonight. I've got a colleague I want to speak to. I'm getting in contact with you. That is just as certain as anything else. The only way you get real trouble with this is you try and white lie and bravado your way through things with patients. I guarantee you they know you don't look good. And this is how you set yourself up for potential lawsuits and issues by inadvertently, often innocently lying to fill a gap because you feel like you should know. If you know your niche, if you know your scope of practice, which we've already worked on, and you focus on being very, very good at that, you're never going to have issues. So build confidence in what you do know, decide what's within your scope, decide what's out. They have that idea of the oceans, right? You can choose to have a wide ocean that's very shallow, the jack of all trades, the master of none, or you can choose to have this ocean that has some limits, but is as deep as the Marina Trench. Geez, absolutely mucked that one up, didn't I? But you get what I mean. We have this deep ocean of how much knowledge we have in our area. So make your choices, but make the right one. But I guarantee you, it's not a matter of not knowing enough. Number 3, stop comparing yourself to others. I'm going to say it. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? You went through uni, you were graded against each other. Often towards the end, people start siloing themselves into little groups. It's almost high schoolish. I don't want that person to do better than me. I want to do this or that. It doesn't help you. These days it's all too easy. You can go, you've got classmates, colleagues, people you see online, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere you turn, there's someone apparently doing better than you. But they're on their own journey. And, there's always, and this is something that I've seen time and time in my career, someone who thinks you're the person. You're the one they look up to. They're like, oh, if I was just like them, it would be fine. So in this case, focus on your own race. Again, Leverage off other people, leverage off your community, leverage off your mentoring to get that certainty. If comparison is a positive thing, oh, that person, is seeing 150 a week right now, that's a goal for me. As a positive example, by all means, go for it. But it's when we make ourselves, oh man, this patient would be better off seeing that person because I don't have enough experience or that person's better at this. That's not helpful and it's not moving you forward. That patient is always in the exact position or exactly where they should be in front of you. If the right decision is to send them elsewhere, by all means, make it. But you have to know people appear at the right time. You are here at the right time. So make the right decision. As Brad Glackley says, you're the doctor, doctor. You know what you're doing. You don't need the comparison. Drive yourself forward and do amazing things. Number 4, stop waiting for the perfect thing. This one's probably more at the students, but new grads can be here too, right? There's always this idea we're going to wait for the perfect, job, or time for observations, time for continuing education, time to go to this seminar, time to go speak to a mentor. I'm just waiting for the right time, the perfect one. It's just not going to happen. The way you make something perfect is by taking action. We never know if something is going to be the right time or the right job or the right seminar to take until we go do it. There is stuff I've done in my life where absolutely after the fact, I was like, that was not the right thing. But that has been some of the most important developmental things in my life because I learned in so many ways people I didn't want to associate with, things I didn't want to do. So there's never the perfect time. Yes, if you're looking for a job, an associateship, there has to be a good relationship and a connection, right? You don't just take anything willy-nilly. If you wanted to be a manual sports clinic and you're going into a network practice, that's probably not going to work. But the most important thing for an associateship is having a great relationship with your principal chiro. It is like being in a literal relationship, right? You often spend more time with that person than you do your own partner or family, right? You're coming into their baby. The relationship has to work. Every associateship that falls apart is because communication and connection falls apart. So if you're looking for these things, obviously make sure the signs are right, but they don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, oh, I want to be, I'm in North Fremantle and it's in Melville. It's probably not that big a deal, right? Oh, this person's a family practice and I want to be specifically sports. That's probably not a great, massive deal. That person's probably like, sweet, you want to focus on the sports side of stuff within our practice? Let's go. That person is a Thompson practitioner and you're like, I want to be able to do some diversified concept. Well, it's probably not that big a deal. Have a chat. They may be very open to it. But if you are just waiting for things to be perfect, it's never going to happen. So you're going to have to step out on a limb a bit and take action, which conveniently leads into our last one. You are not alone. I was just saying we have to take action. What was it? The future rewards the brave that take action, right? The people that I've seen do the best in my career, the people who just sort of pulled the ripcord and went after it. They didn't always know what was going to happen. They just jumped out of that plane and let's see where we go, right? But the biggest thing that allows people to make those decisions without fear is you're not alone in this. I mean, above all else, in this group, you are not alone. You have a community of people surrounding you, invested in your success. Everyone in here is building everyone else up because if we all succeed, it's better for everybody else. So get involved. Be involved in this community. Be involved in other communities. Make sure you're a member, if you're in Australia, of the Australian Chiro Association. So you're part of your association, your network, the people that support you. Surround yourself with other like-minded business owners in your areas, in their gyms, Pilates studios, yoga, physio, whatever it is. Meet up with them, leverage off them. At the end of the day, we do this together. You are not isolated. You're not alone, whether you're working in the middle of regional Australia right now or regional UK or, for the other crew in New Zealand, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. We are connected, and all it takes to get support is to ask. So please ask the question, make the call, send the message. Just do it. You are not alone, and you can't understand how well you will be rewarded if you just take the first steps. So it's time. It's time to do amazing things. Those are our big top 5, right? I hope there's been some things there that have really helped for you. I hope you've taken some notes. I hope you're going to sit in and really think about areas that you can improve to set you up for success now, in the short term, and well into the future. But remember, you've got this. Take the action, get the support, and let's do those amazing things. Let us know in the group what you need. Let us know your big sort of takeaways from this. And I'm so excited to see massive things. Keep doing the awesome work.